In a completely unrelated video, Brennan Lee Mulligan said something along the lines of, categories exist not to be perfect, but to be useful. I completely agree with that sentiment. The reason I hate gender is because it is neither perfect nor useful. Gender and gender expression do not give you any information about anyone. The only reason there is reliable results to be found via gender expression is because we live in a culture wherein we choose to augment our behavior based on the expectations of other people. If you see someone in clown makeup, what do you know about that person? Who are they? What is their sexual orientation? What is their gender expression? What sort of jobs do they do? Are they trustworthy? Are they good with their money? These are all questions that people believe are answerable via some form of gender expression when the person is not wearing a clown costume. But when they are wearing a clown costume, we suddenly have no information whatsoever, except you didn't have any information in the first place because everybody's been to a funeral, so we have all worn formal wear. Wearing a suit and tie, even wearing a suit and tie every day, doesn't make you a finance bro. It doesn't make you like finance bros. It doesn't make you agree with any of their politics or run in any of their circles or have any of them as friends. Just like wearing a construction worker outfit every day doesn't make you a construction worker. It doesn't make you good with your hands. It doesn't make you powerful. It doesn't make you masculine. It doesn't make you someone who could bring home the bacon for your family. But if you see someone who's wearing those clothes and carrying themselves in that manner, you assume those things about them and you're attracted to that person. That's the message that they're giving you. If you go back to that person's house and every day they dress up in bright pink and dance around with ears on their head, will you be surprised by that? Will that throw you off course? If so, then why? What information did you actually get from anything that person was wearing or anything that they said or did whilst you were seeing them? The only information you can actually get is by being with that person for a significant amount of time, seeing them in front of people and in private, and seeing what they do and say, and judging them based on that. If you wear all black with black nails, black eyeshadow, fishnets, and you go, you are a fan of rock music, maybe. You're a fan of Screamo, maybe. You do that because Kiss did that years ago. And so that's just something that's connected to the iconography of being a rocker. But if you also like K-pop and you do something like this, is that now a different personality? Are you now a different person because you might dress differently and do different hand signals and make different faces in different settings with different people? Are you different? No. You can like both of those things equally. You can dress in different ways on different days or even on the same day. But if someone meets you at that rock concert, they're going to think a lot of things about you. They're going to assume things about your politics, about who you are, stuff like that. They're going to be attracted to you for those things. Are you at the rock concert going to start doing this? No, you're not, because you're not among the company wherein you would do that and get the good results. It doesn't mean that's not part of you anymore. So if you start dating the rocker and all you guys do is listen to rock music, now 10 years in, this is just your identity, right? No, your identity is still all that other stuff. You just haven't shown it much. So what information does gender expression give you? Because you see someone who is dressed in a way that seems to express the archetype that you're looking for, and then you get with that person and they cheat on you just like the other person who was dressed completely differently, who talks completely different. You switch from a feminine person to a masculine person, and you believe that somehow they're going to treat you differently. For what reason? Why? They believe different things, right? They definitely do, because they dress differently in public, so they must somehow align with some of my stuff. They even say that they align with the stuff that I align with because they're in communities that I'm in. And then in our actual relationship, they treat me differently because they are a human being. They just wear clothes. We all just wear clothes. We all just put shit on our face. We're all just clowns. But the clown makeup makes you go, I don't know what to think. And that is the problem. Is that we decorate ourselves, we carry ourselves, we walk around, we make hand motions, we make facial expressions based on what we want other people to think about us. That doesn't say anything about who we are, it's what we want people to think. That's why we all have these crises, where we have to go back and start dressing like we did when we were kids, when we just picked whatever we wanted and dressed however we wanted to dress and looked however we wanted to look. So the way that you dress every day, could you change that? Do you change that? And are you fundamentally different people when you change that? Or are you just you, and you accentuate certain parts of your being when you're among certain company? When you're in academic settings, you dress like them and you speak like them. And when you're at the rock concert, you're going, ah! And that's just fun, because performance is fun. All things are a performance. So why do we trust people who dress the way we expect them to dress and talk the way we expect them to talk? Why do we trust those people? Why do we give them more parts of ourselves? Why do we meet that person and go, oh my God, I've never met a person like you? And then years later go, damn, you're exactly like my ex. Because we weren't actually looking for information. We were looking for aesthetics. We were looking to see the character in the show who dressed that way, who acted that way, who talked that way, who had those friends. And we assumed that this person is going to treat us that way. And that's literally as deep as most of us go. And we get staunchly offended when people don't understand our identities, when people misplace us on this spectrum of who we could be. Because clearly I'm dressed this way, so you should expect and understand that I'm this type of person. Why? You cannot change your dress? You didn't used to dress differently at different periods in your life? Because I know I dress and talk fundamentally differently than I was. And while, yes, I have grown as a person, fundamentally, I am still me. I'm still just me. And the parts of me that I'm putting out there now are more authentic. I think the pink represents part of me to a degree. But if we lived in a world where pink didn't mean that, where we associated pink with evil and violence and death, then I wouldn't wear pink. I just wouldn't. If a different color was the cutesiest color, I'd probably have an obsession with that. Because throughout my life, I wouldn't have felt the ability to express myself with that color, and so that would have been the taboo thing that at 29 I decide to now accentuate, to show who I have always been but not been able to show. None of that has changed. I've just decided that this aesthetic represents me, and when I show it to people, they go, oh, okay, you're wearing pink, okay, cool. Why? Why? Give me a reason why pink means trust, why pink means kid, why pink means cute, why pink means good, whereas red or some other color doesn't, where blue doesn't. Blue means masculine, blue means man, blue means some other stuff. I'm wearing both pink and blue in this moment. So which is it? These rules don't have meaning. These rules don't exist. Categories exist not to be perfect, but to be useful. It is not useful to see a person who is wearing a dress versus a person who is wearing pants and assume anything about that person. Doesn't matter if they've got a beard. It doesn't matter if they're wearing makeup. Doesn't matter if they're dressed as a clown. You don't know anything about them. They are simply trying to give a message, and that message could be truthful and authentic based on the iconography of the culture they grew up in, or it could just be them grasping at straws, or they could just be wearing clothes. They could have gone to the thrift store and just grabbed things off the shelf, because none of those things actually have meaning, because plaid doesn't mean anything. But if you wear plaid and you wear suspenders and you wear glasses, we're going to think you might be smart. Why do we do that? Because Steve Urkel exists. It's not because those things actually make you anything. So when you see somebody and you go, that's the one, ask yourself why. Because all you've seen is their exterior performance. All you've seen is the message that their ego wants the world to see. And you are eating it up. And if they don't treat you right, you're going to really be confused as to why you didn't get the reaction you wanted. If you walk up to the man wearing the suit, the man at the gym, and they go, hi, how's it going? You're gonna freak out because those things shouldn't be connected. And why? Give me a reason why those things should not connect. Our culture, our aesthetics, our iconography have taught us that this is how we should conduct ourselves in order for the world to make some sense. And so we all adhere to that to the best of our ability, or we go directly against it, however we want to. You were the Christian or you were the goth kid. If you grew up in a tiny town where everybody was Christian, you were one of those two things. You didn't pick your identity. You picked the exact what they wanted or the exact opposite. That's usually how we make decisions as people. We love binaries, and it's really annoying that we love binaries. That's why gender's not real. That's why it doesn't exist.